Is this the silliest thing you've ever heard of? Thomas!
In Medina?
Yeah, pretty sure.
Yeah. For that Obama.
Was to opt out, and now a group of flight attendants is promoting an online effort to get everyone to opt out for a day, which happens to be the day before Thanksgiving. Our next guest is suing the TSA to try to get the devices pulled out of airports completely. Mark Rotenberg is the executive director of the Electronic Privacy Information Center, EPIC as it's called. He's in Washington for us this morning. Mark, good to see you. What's your beef with these scanners?
Well, John, I think the basic problem is that the agency doesn't have the legal authority to put these devices in the airports. We understand the need for airport security, but it was a very big step they took when they decided to make the body scanners the primary screening technique, and that's what we're objecting to.
You're saying that they didn't follow appropriate procedure then in putting them in, but here's what the TSA said in response to a letter that you sent them. This comes from their chief counsel, Francine Kerner. She said, quote, TSA is not required to initiate APA, which is Administrative Procedure Act, rulemaking procedures each time the agency develops and implements improved passenger screening procedures. What do you say to that?
Well, we think they're simply wrong. As a matter of law, we think they're wrong, which is the reason that we've gone to federal court to try to get the program suspended. There are a lot of objections here. There are health concerns, the privacy concerns. We're working with religious groups that think the whole thing is offensive, and I think the American public has become increasingly frustrated. We can't let the TSA decide what its legal authority is. That's a decision that has to be made by a court.
You talk about these health concerns, and we know that the Airline Pilots Association is representing a couple of airlines, including American and I believe U.S. Air, have voiced their concern about the radiation risk. Are you concerned yourself about the risk, or are you only concerned that other people are voicing that?
No, I think those are legitimate concerns. Our expertise is not in the health field. We know more about the technology and the privacy issues, and those are the issues that we focused on in our lawsuit. But we have spoken with a lot of medical experts, and I think these questions need to be looked at more closely. Right now, it's just the TSA telling the American public not to be concerned. I don't think that's adequate, and I think the responses of the pilots groups and the stewardesses and others is very important.
Now, the TSA is suggesting that you're going after the wrong people by filing the lawsuit against them, that they have a mandate from Congress to deploy equipment like this.
Yeah, well, that's... I saw that. I almost couldn't believe that they wrote that.
Well, let me put it up on the screen if I could here, Mark, just so the folks at home know what we're following here. They wrote, quote, the Secretary of Homeland Security shall give a high priority to developing, testing, improving, and deploying at airport screening checkpoints equipment that detects non-metallic, chemical, biological, and radiological weapons and explosives in all forms on individuals and in their personal property. That's a mandate they say was given to them by Congress.
Yes, well, they have authority to develop new technologies. They certainly have authority to use puffer machines, for example, or to look closely at baggage. But when the Congress actually considered the question of whether they could make the body scanners the primary screening technique, they passed legislation. I think there were over 300 members of Congress that voted against exactly what TSA was trying to do. Now, the bill never went to the Senate, but to the extent that Congress has considered this issue, I think they flatly rejected the TSA's position.
Now, there's some question, too, Mark, is just how effective these machines are, and could they have detected the type of explosive that Umar Farouk Abdul-Muttalib tried to employ on Christmas Day last year? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, that's actually a critical question, John. I think it's one of the reasons we feel most strongly about the need to suspend the program. If we thought it was effective, that it really would guarantee the safety of travelers, we'd have a very different view. But you see, before we filed this lawsuit, we filed another lawsuit under the Freedom of Information Act, and we actually obtained the technical specifications for the devices. And we looked at those specifications, talked to the experts, and we all reached the same conclusion. These devices are not designed to detect the type of powder explosive, the PETN, that was used by Abdul-Muttalib and others. In other words, they're not even the right technology to deal with the current threats. And that, I think, is one of the most important points about this program.
And on that point, the TSA was a little less clear than in some of the other points it was making, saying that the typical metal detector certainly won't detect that type of explosive, and that these advanced imaging technology machines are the best current tool for detecting these and other non-metallic threats. So they left at least a little ambiguity there.
Yes.
Wondering, though, that in the court of public opinion, and I know that's not really the one that matters to you, the actual courts are the ones that matter to you, but in the court of public opinion, I'm wondering if you're swimming upstream a little bit here, because regular air travelers, when asked in a USA Today Gallup poll, 78% of them approved of the use of these body scanners, only 20% disapproved.
Right. Well, I saw that poll. It came out some time ago, and it was a poll that, I think the TSA, in fact, would have helped put together, because when we went back to the agency and asked for the traveler complaints, we found hundreds of complaints. We've now received thousands. And if you ask the question today, not back when that poll was taken, of the American traveling public, I think you'll get a very different response. I think you see this increasingly now in the growing opposition to the use of the body scanners in U.S. airports.
Well, we'll keep watching this and see where it goes, because certainly there's a lot of opposition being raised to these machines. Mark Rotenberg from the Electronic Privacy Information Center